Flip to Freedom, episode number 20. Hello there, this is Sean Terry from the Flip to Freedom podcast. This is episode number 20. Can't believe we're at number 20 already. Now, if you are brand new and you're listening to this podcast for the very first time, I am here to help you escape the 9 to 5 and live the lifestyle of your dreams by learning how you can make an absolute fortune flipping properties in your spare time. Even if you are new today, you're just getting started, you have no cash, no credit, and no experience. Now, I can tell you, I had a question about what our business model is. And I can tell you, we basically have several different business models. One being is wholesaling properties. And that's what primarily this podcast is about, because it is the least barrier of entry to wholesaling properties. You don't need cash, you don't need credit, you don't need experience. It's literally just finding a motivated seller and matching them up with a cash buyer and assigning the contract or doing a double escrow and closing the transaction and collecting your check. There is no one ever pulls your credit, and it's an easy way to break in, and that's how I got started in real estate, was through wholesaling. Now, that's one business model we have. We wholesale properties through our website at fortresswholesale.com, and then also too, we buy properties, renovate them, package them up with a tenant, and sell them to investors all across the country. And those are primarily cash flow properties, and that's through our site at fortressinvestor.com. And we get a lot of leads and traffic that comes to that site because we've optimized it for the keyword cash flow properties or cash flow properties for sale. So if you Google that, you will see that we are in the either top one or two in Google results for that particular keyword, which we get a ton of traffic for. Now, that's another model. We have also fix and flip retail. We buy properties. We have 2 properties under contract right now. I just met the appraiser out at one property this morning. And the property, we bought it, renovated it, and now we have it on the market to turn around and sell it to a retail FHA buyer who's going to be buying it from us. So and that's the model there. And also, too, we have a company that buys land, entitles it, and then sells the entitled land off to the actual end user, either whether it be home buyers or actually home builders or commercial pads or whatever it is. But we buy it, we bring it through the zoning process, bring it through the entitlement process, being that we go to the public meetings, we get it zoned, we get it entitled, meaning we split the property into lots, take it from larger parcels down to smaller parcels, and then we can sell those off. Now, that market, I can tell you right now, is pretty much dead. Homebuyers are actually coming into the marketplace now and just start looking for land recently. But that is those particular deals are 3 to 5 year plays. Now even longer in this market. So and I guess the point is this, and that's the answer to the question, what my business model is, and we have a lot of different things. The thing I like about wholesaling is because you can generate cash quickly. Same with the fix and flip, and then the longer term plays, you can make large chunks of money as well. But what the thing is that breaking into it, into real estate through wholesaling is a great part, because you can literally get involved, you can understand the language, and it can take you to whatever you want to be. I mean, you can get involved in wholesaling, then you can fix and flip properties, then you can fix and flip retail, then you can buy commercial real estate, you can buy cash flow properties, you can build a portfolio for yourself, you can get into large commercial development, you can build mini storages. There is such a broad spectrum of different niches within the real estate sector, but this particular podcast is for you if you're brand new, you're just learning, you want to get into real estate, you're working a job, and you want to start making money in real estate so you can quit your job. And in this episode, I am going to discuss the 5 ways to analyze and structure each lead for maximum profit and sellability. Because when you get started, you're marketing for motivated sellers. You're also going to be marketing for cash buyers. But in this particular segment, we're going to talk about marketing for motivated sellers. And then when leads come in, what to do with those leads. How do you structure them? How do you analyze them? How do you know if you have a deal or if you don't have a deal? Now, when I'm working with a lot of newer investors, that is their biggest obstacle, because when they do get the leads coming in, they're like, oh, now what do I do? How do I make a deal? If I don't think there's a deal there. So now, what happens is there are typically 5 types of leads. There's obviously more that come in, but 5 of the majority of the leads that come in fall into these 5 categories. One being sellers with no equity, meaning they owe what the property's worth. A lot of people pass on those type of deals, but we don't. Seller with little equity, maybe they have 3 to 5% equity in their property, and that's it. Which is you can't really wholesale that property, but you can retail that property. We'll tell you how to do that. Sellers that are upside down. I'll show you what to do with that. Sellers that own their property free and clear. They have no mortgage, no debt on the property. And then there's also sellers, number 5, sellers with substantial equity but still have a loan on their property. That's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about bank-owned properties. If you want to know exactly how to make offers on bank-owned properties and how we do it, you can listen to episode 14. Now, what I did is I put together a 129-page blueprint that you can download for free. It goes in detail. And what I primarily designed this basically book is to show you how to quit your job in 19 weeks or less. Now, obviously, you're not going to quit your job unless you have confidence in your current position, meaning that you've bought properties, bought properties and sold them and made a profit doing it. So the idea behind the whole book is to show you how to get 1 year's worth of your income in the bank as fast as possible. So let's say theoretically you make $50,000 a year. If you could get $50,000 a year in the bank, then guess what? You can then make a decision with you and your family to decide if you want to quit your job or not and live the free life, to do what you want to do when you want to do it. So you can get that for free. You can go to flip2freedom.com. That's flip2freedom.com. And you'll see a video of me on the front page, and you can just put your email in there and click download now, and you can get that instantly, and I'll send you a link to your email and for a link to actually download that. All right, now let's get into exactly how to analyze and structure each lead for maximum profit and sellability. Okay. First off, the first lead that comes in is the one with seller has no equity. That means they owe what the property is worth. Now, when a lead comes in like that, obviously, on a bigger scale, right? Let me take a step back. You're marketing for buyers, and you're going to be marketing for buyers, several different ways. Buyers are going to be calling in. The first thing you want to do, above and beyond, is you want to build rapport with a buyer. You want to find out, why they want to sell the property. You want to find out, obviously, about the property, the condition of the property. There's information that you want to find out. We actually have a whole lead sheet that will tell you exactly what questions to ask, so you can fill it out and you know exactly where you stand with the property. But primarily the focus is to build rapport and find out why they want to sell, what the motivation level, because you're looking for a motivated seller, so you got to find the motivation. So how do you find that motivation? Well, you ask a simple question. You say, listen, if we could put together something, if we made an offer that worked for you, how fast would you like to sell? And if they say, well, I'm just seeing what I could get right now in the market. I'm thinking about moving in the next couple months, and I'm thinking about selling and moving then. If they say that is not, in my opinion, motivation. But if they say, listen, if we could put something together and it worked, then I'd sell as fast as I could. I've got a financial situation, I need cash, whatever it is, they want to sell and they want to get out fast. That is motivation, and that will be your spidey senses knowing, hey, listen, guess what? I've got a motivated seller here. Now I want to dig in and find out more information about the property and about their information. So, okay, now back to this. A seller with no equity, what do you do? Well, first off, when you're building rapport on the phone and you're talking to them and you're finding out about the house, you want to make sure that, first off, the house is in good condition. Okay, you want to have a house that's in good condition. You don't want to have a beat up house. You don't want to have an ugly house. You want to have a newer house that's in good condition, that when you market it for a buyer, they literally can be move-in ready. Maybe just a little bit of repairs are fine, but nothing major. No $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 renovations. That has to be a clean property. Also, too, what you want to do is make sure that they have a good loan. Okay, a good loan in place. What does that mean? Well, it means that their interest rate must be around 5 to 7%. Okay, or their payments must be at or lower what you can rent a house for in that neighborhood. If everything's renting for $1,100, make sure that the payments are lower than $1,100 or lower. And make sure that the loan, the current existing loan on the property, doesn't adjust or balloon in 3 to 5 years. Okay, the payment must be locked and not floating. So, sometimes they have floating payments that one month it's $875, the next month it's $975, and it just floats with the LIBOR rate, which you don't want. All right, so lead calls in, and they have no equity. You find out about the house. It's a nice house. It's a pretty house. They're motivated, and they find out about the loan, and they go, great. They have a good loan. It fits all the criteria, and then you go, okay, you're going to set the appointment with them. So now you're going to set the appointment. And you can set that appointment around a job. You can do it on nights if you want. You can do it, days if you want. You can do it on weekends if you want, whatever it may be. But you can set that appointment with them. And then you want to go, obviously, look at the house, take some pictures, and then structure the deal. Now, how do you structure the deal? Well, first off, you want to negotiate with the seller to have them leave the existing loan in place for 3 to 5 years. Now, let's take a look at this. This seller right now owes what the property is worth. Let's say, theoretically, it's a $100,000 house, and they owe, let's say, $100,000. They owe $98,000. They owe what the property's worth. If they were going to try to sell the property in the open market and they were going to list it with a realtor, well, first off, they'd have to pay 6% realtor fees. They'd have to pay closing costs. They'd have to pay any type of concessions that the buyer is requesting. So literally, they would have to come in with anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 on this $100,000 house just to get out of it. Well, a lot of buyers, especially if they're motivated, they don't want to come in with $7,000 to $10,000. So now when you're negotiating with them, you're saying, hey, listen, guess what? Let's leave your loan in place, and I'll negotiate and basically give them $500 to $1,000. Give them as little amount of cash as possible, but they're going to get some cash. So when you're talking to this motivated seller, you say, hey, listen, guess what? What if I could give you $1,000 cash? And obviously, if you're going to try to sell your house in the marketplace today, you'd have to come in with cash. You can't do it. You're literally stuck until either house values go up to a certain point where you can sell. And guess what? You never know if house values are going to go down. If they go down, well, you could be stuck here for a lot longer. But what if I could give you $1,000 cash, and I'd like to have your loan, since it's a good loan, to be in place for 3 to 5 years. A lot of times, if they have motivation there, most of the time, they'll be okay about it. Now, that is how you basically structure the transaction. Now, they're going to have questions. They might have objections. They go, well, what's going to happen after the 3 years or 5 years? Well, guess what? We have to either refinance the property, we have to pay off the existing note, or we have to sell the property to pay off the existing note. That's what we have to do after 3 to 5 years. And then they go, well, how do I know the mortgage is going to be being paid? Well, we set it up with a servicing company through the title or escrow company office there. And what they do is they'll collect the payments, right, and then pay your bank, and everything will be audited. So you'll have a statement basically showing all the payments that are being made to the bank, and then there'll be a statement on our side showing all the payments we made, that we can bring that to our accountant and write off the interest that we paid on, or whatever it is for the tax purposes. But everything will be audited, and it'll be done through a servicing company, and the title company will take care of everything. Okay. Then the question might ask, well, what if you don't make your payments? Well, if we don't make the payments, then whatever state you're in, then you're able to foreclose back on the property and take over the property. Now, let's say we give you $1,000, we put some work into the property, we pay closing costs to whatever it is. We're not going to lose $5,000 to $10,000 of how much ever money we invested over the term. and just lose that. We're not going to walk away from that. So obviously we have a vested interest to make this deal work. Those are ways to overcome some of those different objections that the sellers might ask. But the majority of the time, they're motivated. They'll say, okay, great, because they're going to be able to get out of it and get some cash and get out of the debt and the payments on that. All right, now let's talk about selling that property. How do you sell that property? Now you get a contract on a property. It basically says you're giving a seller, let's say $1,000 on this $100,000 house, and they're leaving the loan in place for 5 years. Now, how do you package that? So what you want to do now is put it on Craigslist. Now, I talked about in one of the previous episodes that it's such a great market right now for buyers who have cash, but they don't have credit, and they're looking to buy a house. And there's such a great market for sellers who have little to no equity and they want to sell their house. They just can't do it. So we put those two together and we can make a profit in between. So we put that property on Craigslist, and it will say seller financing, no credit, no problem, $12,000 down. And you have pictures of the house and the description of the house: 3-bed, 2-bath, built in 1996, tile roof, beautiful neighborhood, yada yada yada, whatever. Put a description about the house. Put that on Craigslist and back page. Now, what you want to do is now you're going to have people calling, and they're going to want to either view the house. What I usually say is, listen, it's currently occupied right now. Why don't you do a drive-by, see if you like the neighborhood, give me a call back, and what I can do is I can schedule you to go look at the house. Or what you can do is do an open house on a Saturday and have them all come in between, say, 1 and 4 o'clock. But now, obviously, now they call back. They like the neighborhood. They're interested in the property. What you can do now is now you want to verify that they have the funds. You say, hey, listen, do you have the $12,000 down? I got a lot of other people of interest. I got my phones blowing up over this property. So listen, do you have the $12,000 down? They go, yeah, I've got it. Okay, great. How quick can we get it over to escrow and close this thing? Well, we can close it, if we like the property and look inside, we can close it in a week or two. That's great. So that would be your perfect buyer that you're looking for. Now what you want to do is schedule them to go look at the property, or if you have 4, 5, or 6 people like that, have them all come through on a Saturday afternoon. That works best, almost like an open house. So now, the first person, that first buyer that says, I've got the money, I want to write a contract, I want to commit, they look at the house, then you want to sign them up. And you're going to do a purchase contract with them. And the purchase contract is going to be that you are going to sell the house for $12,000 down. They're going to basically take over, buy the property subject to the existing loan, whatever that is, let's call it, in this theoretical example, the $100,000 house, let's say they owe $98,000. They're going to buy the property subject to the $98,000 loan, and they're going to make payments on a monthly basis of, say, $875. And that's what that contract's going to look like. So now you're going to have a buy-side contract with your seller for $1,000, right, taking over the payments. And now you're going to have also a sell-side contract with your buyer for $12,000 down, and they're going to buy the property subject to the existing loan, and they're going to make payments to the servicing company every single month. Now you have 2 contracts. Now you bring those contracts to the escrow company, your title officer, your attorney, wherever state you're in, and you're going to instruct them to do an assignment at closing. Okay. Now, closing cost on that will be roughly, theoretically, in a $100,000 house, roughly, say, $1,000. Now, $1,000 is going to go to the seller. The balance is $10,000 left over in our theoretical example. The balance is $10,000. So you'll be able to make, on a property with no equity, assigning a contract directly to the buyer at closing, $10,000 at closing. That's not bad. Now, let's talk about how many deals do you think are out there? I mean, how many deals are out there that have properties that have or potential deals out there that are a motivated seller that have little to no equity? There's probably thousands and thousands. So the result is this: you have a seller that is out of the property with cash in hand. They don't have to come to closing with $5,000 to $10,000. Now you have a buyer that gets a good deal on the house. They're buying it at market value, but that's at current market value. They don't have to deal with banks. They don't have to deal with appraisals. They don't have to deal with any hassle or headaches. They can literally move in a couple weeks. Title company gets business. They get their closing fees. They're happy. And now the buyer makes payments to the servicing company, and the servicing company makes payments to the seller's bank. It's all tracked and it's all audited. And you walk away with a $10,000 check at close of escrow. That is awesome. There are tons of deals in the marketplace today. And the next one I'm going to talk about is number 2, is sellers. This is a second lead that comes in, a second type of lead that comes in. We just talked about the first one, little or no equity. Let's talk about the second one. The second one is sellers with little to no equity. That means they have 3 to 5% equity. Let's keep our current theme of the $100,000 house. So now you have a $100,000 house, and let's say they have a $90,000 loan on the property. Okay. Now it's the exact same process as above. The only difference is you can give just a little bit more money. Instead of $1,000, maybe give them $2,500, maybe give them $3,000. Now just remember that the more money you are committing to give the seller at closing, the more of a down payment you're going to have to receive or negotiate with the buyer. So it always works best when obviously less is possible. But I mean, if you have a buyer, you can say, listen, you have a seller, for example, that they only have $10,000 of equity. They would literally get nothing at closing in our example. And here they can get, $2,500 to $3,000, which is great. So instead of selling that property on Craigslist for $12,000 down, you might sell it for $15,000 or $16,000 down. It'd be maybe a little bit more difficult to sell. You might get less calls on it, but you will get calls on it, and you can still get that $10,000 result. Okay. Now, when you're negotiating, give the seller anywhere from 1 to 3%. The more money they receive, the harder it will be to sell, and which the buyer, like we just talked about, will have to do a larger down payment. Now, let's talk about where to find these deals. We talked, real quickly, is that first off, you want to find these through expired listings. You can talk to a realtor, and a realtor can give you all the expired listings in the good areas of town. That are nicer houses, newer houses, that have all expired, and you can send them a yellow letter. A yellow letter is an unbelievable form of marketing that we use. You can just Google yellowletter.com, and you can kind of see what the yellow letter is about. In my book, explains in detail at philip2freedom.com exactly what a yellow letter is, an example of a yellow letter, how we use the yellow letter, what we say in the yellow letter, negotiating. But the yellow letter works great to expired listings. Now think about it. A guy has listed his house and may be on the market for 200 days, and the property doesn't sell and the listing expires. Do you think he's motivated? Yeah, he's very motivated. He's probably had people through his house. He's probably lowered it 3 or 4 times. He wants out. He's just like, get me out of this house. And then he gets a nice personalized yellow letter from you that says, hello, so-and-so, I'd like to buy your house at so-and-so address. And guess what? Your phone will ring off the hook. It's a great marketing tool, the yellowletter.com. Check that out. All right. Look for houses that are in great condition, and this does not work on ugly houses. I mean, if you're trying to sell a house $15,000 down, they walk in the house and it's trashed, that doesn't fly. It's very difficult to do that. Now, let's talk about sellers. Number 3, sellers that are upside down. This is where the seller owes more than the property is worth. There are tons of deals in the marketplace, especially here in Arizona, Phoenix, California, all across the country. There are people that are upside down in their houses. So what do you do with them? How do you monetize those? Well, what you can do is this, is you want to find the best, most successful short sale realtor in your marketplace. Find a good realtor. And how can you basically find that person? Just Google short sale house and then whatever town you're in or city you're in. And there should be results in there for local realtors in your marketplace that are marketing on Google or show up in the free search results for short sale in your particular city. They've marketed for that. So you can connect with them and see if you can work on a lead referral system. Okay, because some of the properties on short sales, they won't work. The bank won't come down basically deep enough, if you have the $100,000 house, they won't come down to $50,000 if the house is in great condition. We usually don't make any offers on those type of properties. We just refer the lead on, and we could get paid for that lead. Now, if you have a house, right, that is in bad condition, it's beat up, it's considered an ugly house, then the bank would potentially take less. The short sale agent can list the property. It has to be on the market listed to open bids, and then you can place your offer on the property. And potentially, if your offer is accepted by the agent, then you could potentially tie up that deal on a contract basis and then flip that property through a double escrow. Everything has to be disclosed on short sales on every aspect of it. I highly recommend. I don't like doing short sales at all, but there is a possibility to make profit. And I know there's people out there making tons of money on short sales. I just don't like it. All right. Going into detail on short sales, I can do another episode on that if you want, cover it in detail. But right now we're just going to talk about leads. So the next one is sellers that own their property free and clear. These are the best type of deals. I love these deals. Okay. Now, motivated seller calls in. Now, where would you find these guys? Well, first off, you can market the same thing. You can market a yellow letter to someone that is a absentee owner. Someone is an absentee investor. Let's say you live in Texas. And you have one particular area where there's a lot of cash transactions going on, and which I highly suggest. You start right now and start building your cash buyers list through Craigslist. Put a property on there, and put your phone number there, and your phone will ring for people looking for wholesale deep discount properties, and you'll be talking to cash buyers coming in. I think I did what episode? I did episode number, I think 7 or 8. You can look back in the archives about building a cash buyer's list. I did the 7 effective steps of wholesaling, which I think was episode number 3. But it goes in depth on exactly how to build a cash buyer's list. You want to start doing that immediately, because if you know exactly what your cash buyers are looking for, it is so easy to do this business. I was talking to a cash buyer yesterday, and he basically said, "Hey, I'm looking for 2 more properties to fill. I'm looking for in this particular area. I'm looking for this particular price, and I'm looking for this particular many bedrooms, and I won't buy anything, under 1978." That's his specific criteria. I said, "Oh, hey, great, we got a couple deals coming up in the pipeline. I'll definitely give you a look at them, before we put them out." So he's like, I know he's got 2 more slots he has to fill, and he told me exactly what he wants. Now, when you start marketing for buyers and you have people calling in and telling you what they want, you want to survey them and keep a database of exactly what these buyers want. So now back to these free and clear properties. If you know exactly what type of properties your buyers want, you can market to those specific areas. You can get a list through listsource.com. This is in my book too. All this information's you can download at flip2freedom.com. But is in there. Go to listsource.com. You can pull all the absentee investors. That means properties in Texas. Let's say they live in California, but they bought property in Texas, and they're absentee investors, and let's say you can do a search for this. Either they own the property free and clear, or they have 50% equity. You can target inheritance. You can target probate. You can target pre-foreclosures if you want. But and a lot of pre-foreclosures, obviously, properties aren't free and clear. But those are ways to get your phone to ring for motivated sellers looking to find these free and clear properties. Now, when you're structuring the wholesale deal, wholesale properties, there is a formula to sell these wholesale properties. And the formula is this, is you take the after repair value, the ARV, times 70%, less repairs, equals your sell price. So theoretically, you have a $100,000 house, 70% of $100,000 is $70,000, repairs are $10,000, your sell price is $60,000. So you can get the property, if you get the property, anything below $60,000 is your potential profit margin. If you get it for $50,000, there's a potential $10,000 profit. You get it for $40,000, there's a potential $20,000 profit. We use this formula on all of our wholesale deals. So when a deal comes in and the property is free and clear, we know what we have to get it at prior to going to the appointment so we can structure the offers correctly. Now, when you're dealing with a person who owns the property free and clear, one thing you definitely want to find out, is this their primary residence? Did they inherit the property? Was the property a rental? Is it currently vacant? The condition? Those things you can ask while you're talking to the seller when they call in. But when you're gauging motivation, there'll be more motivation if someone obviously inherited the property, or if it's vacant, or if they use it as a rental, than someone who is their primary residence. There'll be more motivation there, and you can go back and ask that question we talked about. Now, when you are presenting offers to sellers that own their property in free and clear, I would first basically try to give them two different offers. The first offer would be use your formula, the formula we just talked about, and then structure it to where they can keep the existing, give you seller financing, okay, with 10% down. Now, this is great. Now, let's say, for an example, you say, okay, I'm going to offer you $50,000. A house needs about $10,000 worth of work. It's worth $100,000. And they go, I just want to get out of it. But say, listen, how quick do you need all the cash? What are you going to use the cash for? And they go, well, not really. I'm just going to stick it as a CD in the bank. Well, what if we did this? What if I could give you 10% down? I can give you $5,000 down. And then you could create a $45,000 note, and we'll pay you 8% on that note. We'll pay it off in, say, a year. We'll pay it off in 2 years, whatever it may be. And they go, well, sure, that would be fine. To say, in this marketplace right now, if I was going to raise cash and I was going to have to pay cash for the property, obviously my number would have to be less. But I can give you a better price on the property if you're allow me to keep or basically sell the property to me with seller financing. That's number one. So you want to pretty much offer them 10% down, and then where they structure it through seller financing, or give them an all cash offer at a lower price. Okay, you give them two, either A or B. Seller financing 10% down, or an all cash offer at a lower price. A lot of time people will just take the all cash offer at the lower price. And sometimes they'll take with a 10% down. What's great about the 10% down is that then you can sell that to either a buy and hold investor or a fix and flip investor, and they can come in with, say, $15,000 down, and you can make a $10,000 spread on that. Okay. Now, what if your seller refuses to sell at those low numbers? They still own the property free and clear. You know they're motivated. What do you do? Well, knowing what we know in the previous couple leads that came in, we could structure the deal to where we give the owner a higher price. So let's say it's worth $100,000, but what if we gave them $80,000, right? And we said, okay, listen, I can give you a higher price, but what we need to do is we need to keep your, you need to offer seller financing, right? And we'll come in with $10,000 down, but keep the seller financing in place and keep it in place for 3 to 5 years. You'll get your higher price, but we want to keep, we want you to offer seller financing, and then have them come, give them, say, $10,000 down, and then you can turn around and sell that for $15,000 down. It's still slightly below market. They get seller financing. They don't have to worry about any banks or any appraisals. The buyer does, and then you can still make a $5,000 or $7,000 or $10,000 profit depending on how much your buyer comes in with for cash. Okay. Hope I'm not getting you too confused on these, but these are how you can structure deals for maximum profit. Now, I basically just gave you 3 different offers on one particular lead that comes in. Now, how do you determine which offer? You don't give them all the offers up front. What you do is you go for the one that you obviously can make the most amount of money. If you feel resistance, then you can start going another way. But I don't give them all 3 offers at once. Say, I can do this, this, or this. You try to give them an all-cash offer at the lowest price possible, and then they go, well, I don't really want to do that because it's too low. Well, then maybe maybe if you offer seller financing and 10% down, we pay it off in a year. Would that work for you? And they might say yes or no, and they go, well, no, it's still too low. Say, great, we'll give you a little bit more. So you're basically just gauging what they can do or what they're willing to do. Okay. Now, how to sell the property? Well, when you wholesale, when you're wholesaling the property, and that's when you do the all-cash offer, let's say you get it for the $50,000, when you're wholesaling that, sell that to your cash buyers list. You know, you get your cash buyers, you've been talking to them, you figure out exactly what they wanted, you call them up and say, I've got one, $60,000, needs $10,000 of work, here are the pictures of the property, and do a drive-by, tell me if you want to look at it, and I'll get you in to check it out. Okay? And so you know, when you start building your cash buyers list, you can just send an email out to your cash buyers, and they can go look at the property. You know, I'm not even going to get into marketing, how we market to sell the property. I did an episode on that, on how to sell your properties in lightning speed in hours, not days. I go in detail of exactly how to sell your properties fast. I think it's in the archives in there. You can go on iTunes. And go through that, and but that is great. So the next one, you know, if you have it on a retail, you can post on Craigslist and Backpage, just like we talked about. You can post signs around the neighborhood, which is another great thing, offering seller financing. So those are ways to sell it. You can sell it to a retail person with seller financing in place, or you can sell it to a wholesale buyer that's looking for a fix and flip, or for a rental property where they can come in with cash and they can close quickly. The next one is sellers with substantial equity but still have a loan in place. Okay, this is the last one, number 5. Sellers with substantial equity but still they have a loan in place. Obviously, you want to confirm the loan, just like we did in the first couple ones. Confirm the loan is good in the big picture. See, the thing is with this, you know, the idea is the same thing. You're looking for sellability. How can you sell the property? Well, the goal is to give them as little cash as possible and keep the loan in place. That is your best case scenario, because that is very easy to sell in this marketplace. If a cash buyer is going to come in and they're looking for fix and flip, they don't have to go get an 18% hard money loan or cut a check for it, just cash. You can offer seller financing by keeping the loan in place. Okay, and how do you negotiate that? Well, you ask what is the minimum amount of cash that they'd like to receive at closing. You know, if they say, well, $5,000, $10,000, they might say $50,000. You never know. But whatever it is, then you want to try to structure it. Now, if someone said they wanted $50,000, I'd probably structure it as an all-cash deal, and I try to get the loan to try to get the price down is below the formula price as possible. In our example, below the $60,000 as possible. If they want a big chunk of money, I would try to get as low as possible, and then just offer just a straight cash transaction. If they want to, if they're able to keep their seller financing in place, and you can basically have it where they can keep 3 to 5% as a down payment for them, then that would work as well, and that is very sellable in this market today. So once you find out how much cash they like to receive, then you can negotiate to leave the existing loan in place and give them the expected cash at closing, as long as it makes sense. Or you can negotiate to give them 10% down, leaving the existing loan in place, and have them carry the portion of the equity. So now, if this is too confusing, if it's too much thing, just listen to it over and over and over again, because you will get it, believe me. And it's not that difficult. It's really, once you start getting leads coming in, you'll fit them in these cookie cutters, and then you'll know exactly when you're going in, meeting the motivated seller, exactly what you can offer. Before I go into an appointment, I know exactly what I can offer, how I'm going to structure it, just by the information of knowing what the value is, knowing what the mortgage they owe on the property, knowing potentially how much cash. That is the variable that you can kind of bounce back and forth. But you have all this in your mind before you go talk to the seller. Okay. Now, selling this particular deal, how do you sell this type of deal? Well, it fits the mold of just selling a wholesale property. Just selling the wholesale property out, where a cash buyer comes in and just pays off the entire thing. Or if it's a retail model where basically they are willing to carry the paper, where they're willing to offer seller financing, and you put it on Craigslist or Backpage, and someone comes in with the down payment. I mean, those are pretty much 2 ways you can market the property and sell it quickly. Now, where do you find these deals? Deals that are, these type of deals where they have equity and stuff. Well, like we talked about earlier, Bandit signs work good. Bandit signs are great. You can put Bandit signs up, and you can put them around the areas where cash buyers are looking for properties. That's one way. You talk to a cash buyer, and they say, "Well, I like this particular grid in this particular area. I would barrage that place with Bandit signs all over the place, and you'll get calls from motivated sellers, and you might be able to structure a deal just for that particular cash buyer that's looking for properties. You might structure 4 or 5 or 6 deals like that for them." And sending out yellow letters to these different lists. We talked about inheritance, absentee investors with 50% equity at list source, pre-foreclosures, deed dates 1998 and below, very important. A lot of people don't have equity in their properties right now for the fact that they purchased a property from 2000 and beyond. And we target deed dates 1999 and below, 1998 and below, knowing that those will potentially have more equity than houses with deed dates in 2006, which won't have any equity at all, and also probate leads. All right, that is a lot to swallow, I know, and I apologize for that, but that is exactly how you 5 ways to analyze and structure each lead for maximum profit and sellability. Now, I want to leave you with this quote. I always like to leave you with a quote. But this is a quote, and this is from Arthur Timothy Ferris, one of my favorite authors. He wrote a book called The 4-Hour Workweek, and he also has a blog at, which I'll put in the show notes, at Tim Ferriss, I think timferrissblog.com or 4hourworkweekblog.com. All right, the quote goes like this. "Money is multiplied in practical value depending on the number of W's you control in your life. What you do, when you do it, where you do it, and with whom you do it." I call this the freedom multiplier. So let's talk about freedom. What is freedom? Freedom is the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it. When you want to do it, where you want to do it, you want to do it, whatever you want to do, and with whom you want to do it. That's freedom. Now, if you want to go out and spend the day with your family and take the summer off, or if you want to go to the beach, or if you wake up and you go, you know what, I'm just going to, my kids are off today, it's a half day of school or whatever, I just want to go hang out with the kids all day. I want to take them to the park, I want to go hang out by the pool, I want to do whatever. You have the choice to do what you want to do. Now, what happens is that we go to a job every single day, we being, not me, but we being, someone that's working a job, and you work a job every single day, and guess what? You don't decide what you want to do. You have to do your job. You don't decide when you want to do it. You have to be there when you have to be there. You don't decide where you want to do it. You have to go to your office, maybe or maybe don't. You have to be somewhere. And whom you do it with. You're stuck with the people that are around you. What if it's a negative environment? So what happens is we're stuck in a job for the idea of having security. And it's almost like maximum security. And we want this security. Got to have my paycheck. Got to have my paycheck every single week, every single month, whatever it is. Now, like I said, what if you could find something like this, where you could flip properties, no cash, no credit, no experience, and you could get 1 year's worth of your income in the bank, $50,000 of cash, 60, 70, 80, whatever it is, 1 year's worth of income in the bank. You'd be confident that you knew what you could do, and you'd have a cushion in the bank for 1 year. And then you could get your freedom back. It's a goal. It's a goal to accomplish. And when you're trying to accomplish a goal, there might be a lot of moving parts. I know, there are. There is. But in like I said last episode, the simplistic film, that basically boil it down in the simplest form possible, you are finding motivated sellers, and you're matching them up with cash buyers, and you're selling the property and making a profit. That's it. That is it. This is so simple. I mean, it's so simple. It just becomes learning the technical aspects of it, which is negotiating, right? But you'll learn this during the process. And you'll learn by doing. And you'll learn by putting marketing out there and taking the calls. And the lead comes in and you go, holy cow, what do I do? What he said here? Oh, yeah, he said here, properties with no equity. How do I handle this? Well, I can structure it this way. I got to find out about the loan. I got to find out if it's a pretty house. I got to find out if it's in a good area. And you can start doing that. And you might want to take notes and write this down, so then when leads do come in, then you know how to structure these leads, and then you can go talk to the motivated seller. But let me ask you a question. What if you screw up? What if you blow it? What if you go on the appointment? What if you take the lead and you're excited? And you go on the appointment and you blow it? You say something stupid, you do something stupid, whatever. You blow it. What happens? Who cares? Who cares? You know what? It doesn't matter. Because the good thing about it is you have a job. So it's not like you have to make the deal work to pay the bills. You've got a job. So it's a learning experience. You know how many deals I have blown? I can't even keep count. But you know what? I might blow a deal, completely blow it. And what's blowing it? Blowing is saying they're not going to kick you out of the house and go, "You're an idiot, get out of here." They're not going to do it. Blowing it is they just don't do it. They say, "Nah, I don't really want to do it, and I'll think about it." Which is the classic, blow off. I always come back and say, "Great, what do you want to think about? Let's think about it together. Let me help you think it through." So, but I'm a little bit more aggressive, and I have been doing this for a while, so I can help them think through all the obstacles, so I can eliminate those obstacles, and I can get the contract. But that was a learning process. I didn't do that from day one. So if you blow it, who cares? People have this fear of failure. Oh my gosh, what if I screw up? What if I don't say? And they, like I said, they project this god-awful thing that could potentially happen if they mess up. I've seen some comments on the blog. They go, I just don't want to mess up. Well, who cares if you do? It doesn't matter. Just do it. Go through it. Take the calls. Make the appointment. Talk to the sellers. Now, what if you get it and you can't sell the property? What, you didn't quit? Oh, this doesn't work. I can't sell the property? No. You just do it again and structure the deal better. If you use out clauses in all your contracts, you don't have to worry about it. There is no risk. You can get out of the contract with no liability at all if you can't sell the property. So, all I'm trying to say is this, is that how valuable is your freedom? We only have one life to live. That's it. This is it. One life. We've got one shot. So how valuable is your freedom? If you put a huge value on that, then your job, look at your job as a temporary position that you're planning to get out of. And you go, I'm planning to get out of my job, and I want to quit. Now, don't quit prematurely. Make sure you get 1 year's of income in the bank. But you want to get out of that, and you're going to set a goal. And you're going to set a goal. You're going to read the book in detail. You're going to listen to all the podcasts, and you're going to devour not just my information. There's a ton of unbelievable people out there that have awesome information on how to do this business. Devour everything. Devour everything you can. Learn it inside now, and do it while you learn it, because you will learn more by doing than you will by reading. I guarantee it. And then you get a deal, and you'll get a contract, your first contract, and then you'll get your first closing, you'll get your first check, and you go, holy cow, this works! And then you'll do it again, and it works, and do it again, you do it again, do it again, do it again, and you're going to build that confidence knowing that you can make it happen. And it starts by baby steps. It starts by setting a goal. What's the first goal? Well, the first goal is to build a buyer's list. Well, the first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to put an ad on Craigslist. Seeking wholesale properties or cash buyers wanted. Wholesale deep discount properties. We have the best wholesale properties in the marketplace today. Give me a call and let me know exactly what you're looking for. And people will call you or people will email you back. And you can build a relationship and build it with these cash buyers and know exactly what they want. But think about it. If you know exactly what a cash buyer wants, then guess what? You can find the property for them, and you can make the spread. That is the best way to do it. Another way to do it is put it on there and say, hey, seller financing, no banks needed, $10,000, $15,000 down. We have houses. Call me. So now you're also marketing for buyers that are looking for houses that have seller financing. Well, guess what? If they say, hey, I want houses, I'm looking in this particular pocket of town, I'm looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath, well, guess what? You can pull the expired listings and that meets that criteria, and you can send letters out to those people, and you can start structuring a deal just for that buyer. You'll be like filling orders. You have like 4 or 5 cash buyers. They're going to want specific properties in this area. You got, these retail buyers that want this, and you can just literally just fill the orders. But if you do, let's say you make an average of, we make about $10,000 per deal, and we do 7 to 10 a month. So if you, let's say average, say $5,000 a deal, and you do 10 of them, that's $50,000. It's not that hard to do 10 deals, believe me, and it might take you 6 months. But if you have $50,000, $60,000 in the bank and you did it through doing this, you'd have 100% confidence that you can do it and you can continue doing it. And you'll have your freedom, because that is the goal. That is the goal. The goal is to get there, to get that, to get that point. Now, imagine this. You have 1 year's worth of income in the bank, and you've done it through these little steps: building a cash buyer's list, turning around and selling properties and building it, doing that whole thing we talked about. Now you have 1 year's worth of income in the bank. And then you walk in, and now you're going to go in and you're going to fire your boss. Imagine that. Imagine that day. You walk in, you walk up to your boss, and you want to give him your resignation, and you're done, and you know it, and you're excited, and you're just like, think about it. Wouldn't that be unbelievable? You walk in and say, I am done. You're talking to people going, where's he going? What's he doing? He's going, they're stuck in maximum security, and you're out. Done. Gone. See ya. You get to break free and live your dream. And real estate might be the first stepping stone to get you to wherever you want to go. Who knows? But the bottom line is, guess what? You did it. And then you're free. And you get to do what you want, with who you want, when you want, on your terms. There's nothing like it. Until then, take care and God bless.